I'm here in front of the former location of the White Horse Inn restaurant, a San Fernando Valley favorite since 1958. Unfortunately, due to a decline in the economy, the White Horse Inn was forced to shut its doors in the late 90s. The building sat here untouched for many years before finally being demolished and now turned into the Northridge Kidney Center. You can find the old White Horse Inn sign along with some other artifacts at the Valley Relics Museum. But what I wanted to show you today is actually located right across the street from where the White Horse Inn used to sit. It's the famous San Fernando Valley backyard trapeze. My parents showed this to me when I was just a little kid. They told me stories about how they remember it from when they were little kids. Of course, my question to my parents was why? Why is this here? Who are these people? My parents told me that they weren't quite sure, but the rumor had always been that it was some type of weird circus folk that lived here. Now that's almost true. In reality, this is the home of legendary stuntman Bob Yerkes. Bob's story is pretty amazing. He ran away from home at 15, joined the circus, learned how to become an acrobat, tightrope walker, trapeze performer, and got his first stuntman movie role, all at the age of 15. Bob's currently 88 years old, and his IMDb shows that his last stuntman role in a movie was in 2017. If you're thinking you've never heard of him, I guarantee you've seen his work over and over again. These are just a few of the movies Bob can be seen in: Hook, Class Act, House Party 2, Pump Up the Volume, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Big Top Pee-wee, Short Circuit 2, Monster Squad, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Tough Turf, Ghostbusters, Poltergeist. Remember that scene in Who Framed Roger Rabbit when the cartoon hippo sits down on the bench and sends the man flying up into the air? Well, that was Bob performing that stunt. Or how about in Commando when John Matrix goes swinging through the Sherman Oaks Galleria? That was Bob standing in for Arnie. Remember in Back to the Future when Doc Brown slides down the cable from the clock tower? That was Bob. Here's one for all you Star Wars fans. Not only was Bob in Return of the Jedi, but they shot one of the scenes right here in his backyard. There's a scene where Boba Fett's flying through the sky and then lands on the ship. They shot that here by launching Bob off of a Russian swing and sending him flying up into the sky. Some of you might remember in the 70s and 80s there was a network television show called Circus of the Stars where they took celebrities and had them perform circus acts. Well, Bob's the one that trained all of those celebrities, and he did it right here in his backyard. Bob also was the one who coordinated the stunts for American Gladiators. Bob Yerkes is definitely a stunt legend and a San Fernando Valley treasure. Here on the corner of Yolanda Avenue and Ventura Boulevard, this is the former spot of the Man Tarzana West Valley 9. When I was in junior high, a lot of my friends were hanging out here on the weekends. The theater closed down in the mid-2000s and it was demolished to make way for this shopping center. This building right here used to be Su Wei Chinese Kitchen. When I was a kid, this was the only Chinese food that we ate. This was a really big favorite in my household. What I remember most from Su Wei was the pork fried rice, fried shrimp, and the spare ribs. I think you got 2 spare ribs in one of those wax paper bags. Man, that was good food. Now, I'm having trouble finding information online as to what exactly happened with Su Wei, but this is what I remember. One night we called up to place a takeout order and the phone just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. So we drove over here and they were closed. There was a sign right there in the front door that said closed for the new year. That was it. They never opened back up. We kept coming back. The sign just stayed there. Now, from what I remember, the Su Wei sign stayed up for years, but they never opened back up. That sign stayed in the front door that said closed for the new year. Now, the one thing that I did find online is that they were shut down in March of 1999 for a vermin infestation. Again, in December of 1999, they were shut down for a vermin infestation, but there's no reopen date listed. Now that seems like it might be right around the time that I remember them shutting down. So I don't know if the vermin infestation is the full reason why they shut down, but I have a feeling that it had something to do with it. On the corner of Sherman Way and Woodley, this is Beeps, an old-fashioned hamburger stand that's been around since 1956. Although I've passed by this place my entire life, I gotta be honest, I only ever ate here once or twice, and it was good. I liked it. It's your classic hamburger stand food, you know, hamburgers, hot dogs, and milkshakes. It's definitely a Valley classic, and hopefully it'll be here for a long time. This Toys R Us on the corner of Sherman Way and Woodley, is the Toys R Us that I most remember coming to as a kid. Now, of course, when I was a kid, it didn't look like this. This used to be an old school 80s looking Toys R Us with the different color striped panels on the front of the building. Sadly, it looks like it's either going to be torn down or just completely remodeled into something else. They're in there right now doing work on it. But either way, whatever they're doing, it's not going to be a Toys R Us anymore. I was about to point out this business next door, Kitty World. It's another place that's been here as long as I can remember, but I just noticed that it's actually no longer Kitty World. If you look inside, it's just part of the laundromat now, and they just left that Kitty World sign up for whatever reason. And next door, this was 7-Eleven. This has also been here forever, but they just recently shut it down. So I don't know if they're getting ready to demolish this entire shopping center or what the deal is. If they do, that's going to be really sad, because this is another shopping center that's always been here. Another part of my childhood, quite possibly gone forever. Now a restaurant called Hamptons. This is the former site of the Wiener Factory, a family-owned hot dog stand for 36 years and a Valley favorite. In the 90s, a lot of friends that I had that played in local punk bands hung out and worked at the Wiener Factory. After 36 years of business, the Wiener Factory was forced to close on New Year's Eve 2007 because the owners of the property struck up a deal with Pinkberry. After Wiener Factory was forced to close its doors, Pinkberry ended up backing out of the deal. According to multiple articles that I read online, Pinkberry co-founder Young Lee was quoted as saying, "Historically, things come and go, but our intentions are good." If this stretch of Ventura Boulevard at all looks slightly familiar, this is where Tom Petty shot the Free Fallin' music video. Located directly across the street from Casa de Cadillac, this Whole Foods on the corner is the former site of the hot dog stand that was Future Dogs in the Free Fallin' music video. This hot dog stand went by many names over the years, most notably the Infield, another San Fernando Valley favorite. It later shut down and became a flower shop, which was featured in the TV show 6 Feet Under, before eventually completely shutting down, being demolished, and now recently turned into a Whole Foods. Where this Whole Foods now sits, this is where the Ventura Boulevard Vampires got into an altercation with the Lowriders, and Tom Petty stood up on a crane singing about the whole thing. When I was a kid, this Del Taco behind me at Corbin and Van Owen Street was a Noggles. Although there was a lot of Noggles restaurants, this is the one that I remember coming to. I remember when it was just a Noggles. I remember when Del Taco bought them out and it became a Del Taco Noggles. That menu right there was half Del Taco and half Noggles. Eventually, Del Taco got rid of the Noggles name altogether. However, they kept a lot of their food items on their menu permanently. Sabrosos Mexican restaurant has been serving the San Fernando Valley since 1968. I remember my family was really into coming here for quite a while. I'm glad to see that it's still around. Big Fat is a perfect example of a hole-in-the-wall hamburger stand that knows how to do it right. They've been a favorite of so many San Fernando Valley residents since 1961. Here's another place that my family loved to come to when I was younger, H Salt Fish and Chips. We used to come to this location on Lindley and Saticoy quite a bit. The original H Salt Fish and Chips opened back in 1965. There's not that many left, and they're all independently owned now. I can still taste those big pieces of deep fried fish doused in malt vinegar and tartar sauce. Where do you go if you want a hard shell taco and a chili dog at the same time? Of course, Pup and Taco. Pup and Taco was a popular chain in the 1980s, and this location at Coldwater Canyon in Van Owen was a location that I used to visit with my family back in the 80s. As you can see, this location became a Taco Bell. They kept the original building for quite a while before demolishing it and making something more modern looking. I'm on my way right now to check out a bit of a roadside attraction here in Northridge. And there it is, the Bob's Big Boy mailbox. They have taken the arm off of an old Bob's Big Boy statue and turned it into their mailbox. Now, this has become a local roadside attraction. People come here all the time to take photos with this. Seems like the people who own this house are somewhat into art. They have some other type of sculpture up there by the front of the house. Even their address right there, they have their address in neon lights. Just another one of those weird things that you'll only find in the San Fernando Valley.